Hi, I'm Aimee.
And I'm Craig, and we are currently in Australia.
Yes, but 2 years ago, we travelled around Southeast Asia.
It was a hot and sweaty time, but we kept a podcast journal of our thoughts and feelings, the run up to it, during, and the eventual finale of our trip there.
Yes.
And we thought it was lost to time, but we have found it, and we thought it would be a good time capsule to put up on our YouTube channel. So here it is, the latest of our old podcast.
Enjoy. Hello
Hi.
and welcome. This sounds like...
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
It sounds
We're
like...
not doing that. Every other word, no.
Okay, hello, I'm
Hi.
Aimee.
I'm Craig.
Yeah, and this is Sunsoaked Couple, the podcast.
Very professional.
Yep.
First off.
Okay, should we start again then?
No, I like that.
No, we'll keep it in, okay.
Yeah, this is the natural flowing. Here we go in.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm Aimee.
We've
I've
established
said names. We said names, so we'll move on. For those watching, you'll see our lovely bed with the mosquito net behind us.
For you listening, you will not see that, but you will hear our heavenly tones. Isn't that right?
Not so much on the heavenly, at least not from you. Today, we are currently sat in our wooden shack in North Ubud in Bali. There's a thunderstorm, so we thought we would sit inside and tell you about our journey from London Heathrow to
Athens?
to Bali.
Oh, okay.
And all the bits in between.
all the bits in
I
between.
couldn't remember what the
Okay.
airport was, so I gave up on that.
Very good. Last episode, we said we would talk about our journey and where we're going travelling. However, we got so caught up in life. We did so much, and we will talk about that next episode, where we're going and how we got to here, right? Does that sound like an idea?
Sure.
But
But also, if we decide to change our minds, don't, it is what it is.
the plan is set. The plan is set.
Plans can change.
Yes, exactly. So this week we're going to be talking about how we got to Bali. Social media. There's a TikTok. There's a YouTube. There's an Instagram. There's a Twitter. There's a website.
Sunsoakedcouple.com.
There you go. One more time.
Sunsoakedcouple.com.
I hear people remember it if you say it in threes. One more time.
Oh, sunsoakedcouple.com. In my head, I was like, sun-soaked couple in threes. Anywho. So on Monday, which was the something of January.
We're in Saturday now. So
Yeah, Saturday the 4th. So Monday was...
Maths. Monday the 30th
Monday
of
the
January.
30th. We drove to Heathrow,
Yep.
where we got there really early to avoid rush hour. We didn't want to be late. We didn't want to miss our flight. So we got there a bit early, had a drink with your dad.
Yep.
And
Not like an alcoholic beverage.
No.
Obviously.
I had a cooler. You had a hot chocolate.
I had a white.
A white hot chocolate.
Is it a white? No, hot white chocolate. What do they call it? A white.
It's
hot
a white hot chocolate, I
That
think.
doesn't sound right.
Anyway.
So we're in Heathrow. Our plane is due to leave at 10:15. So in the evening, we got there with lots of time to spare. Do you want to talk about the battery pack, or do you not want to admit to that?
That's okay.
So we get to the check-in for the bags, our big baggage. We got big old camping type bags. Here's mine. It's a big boy. Look at that. That is what Why did we take the camping bags and not just proper luggage cases?
Because I thought at the time we were going to be like, you know, proper travellers. And
Backpackers,
like,
we're getting backpacking insurance.
I do not want to. I don't want to carry that around any more than I have to.
So we get to do our initial check-in, and they say no battery packs, so the rechargeable battery packs.
And I panicked because at this point we were literally I was weighing my bag to, you know, go through. And he said, no battery packs. And I was like, oh, I've got one in there. And then I was like stood to the side, rummaging through my bag, trying to find the battery pack that I thought I had just put in there.
To which case I go, well, obviously I haven't got your battery pack. So I will just check in my bag whilst you have a tiff, have a meltdown, and stress out. And then you don't find the battery pack, do you?
No, and in my head I was like, I swear I gave it to Craig, but I couldn't remember what bag you'd put it in. And then after you checked your bag in and I checked my bag in, then we started to panic.
Wow.
And I googled what it was like for a battery pack on a plane.
They can go.
Yeah, they can basically like explode or like burst into flames or something. However, on the good side, on a positive note, that did not happen.
On a positive note for Amy's well-being, she said that I had it in my bag. So I spent the whole flight from Heathrow to Athens worrying that I was going to lose my bag or my bag would combust. But you were fine because you were like, well, I don't have it.
Yeah. Turns out it was in
your bag all along. You get the wrong compartment you looked in.
I didn't even look at the bottom compartment. So, you know, there was that panic and stress because, let's face it, I'm a stressy person when it comes to things like that.
That's the spirit.
And you know, you just want to do it right. I'm sure there would have been no problems with that battery pack. But I couldn't help but just start overthink and worry. But the thought that it was in Craig's made me feel better somehow. Because it was your fault.
When the only thing in reality you gave me was your trainers to put in my bag.
Yeah.
Because we got to... I calculated, you know, how much mine weighed at home. Carry-on bags, they say 7 kilograms. They don't measure that. And let me tell you, 7 kilograms is a lot on the old back regardless. As soon as we got to Athens, took out the battery pack straight away. First thing we did, as soon as we got the bag. So that was funny. That was like the first thing, right? That was
the second thing. We arrive at Athens airport at what, 4 a.m?
Yeah, like
Greek time.
We get there and it's the middle of the night. We are absolutely knackered.
Yeah, it's like
pitch black.
It's a ghost town. There's like barely anyone there, a few people here and there. And we get off the plane and the first thing that we do is grab our luggage and then we walk to a board to see
our times.
Our time. Yeah. Which, to be fair, wasn't for another, like...
Wasn't it 7 hours?
Yeah, I think it was about 7 hours. Yeah. And so we got there and the first thing we can see is late.
Just late.
Just late. No context, no nothing. We didn't know what was late. We weren't sure if the plane was late, whether the gate opening was late, whether the check-in was going to be late.
So we thought, well, we got 7 hours anyway, so there's no point in panicking right now. If it's late, it's late, right?
Yeah.
So we go to lay down.
And I slept. I literally... I got my bag, I got your jumper, I got my little neck roll, and I cocooned myself.
Yep.
And I slept on the floor of that airport for 2 whole hours.
Just before Amy laid down on the floor, it was about 5 minutes to 4 in the morning. And we realised in Athens airport at 5 minutes to 4, that's about the time the music starts playing. So you got to sleep watching, you know, just listening to those. And people gave you some looks. I was on checkout and I couldn't really sleep on the floor because I was wearing shorts and t-shirt and I didn't really fancy, you know, sitting on the floor, falling asleep. So...
Yeah, my clothes were quite dusty afterwards, but you know what? It was totally worth it because...
you were definitely more refreshed.
we'll go into it more detail, but across the whole flights, I think I had more sleep than you.
Oh, definitely.
So what was the third? Well, continuing on, I guess, with this whole lateness.
You had slept. I think it still said late by the time you got up.
Yeah.
And then a few hours go by, and
Didn't we go and get? We went and got some breakfast, didn't we?
I think so. That sounds about right.
I can't remember what
It's
we
a bit
got.
like I can't. After all of this ordeal, this is a whole fog for me. We started on Monday, and then I think I just about I can't believe we took that long. The initial flight was supposed to be 28 hours, wasn't it?
No, yeah, well, 16 hours of flying.
Yeah.
With 10 and 11 hours of layover.
Yeah. So if the memory's a bit foggy, I think that's understandable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think I saw loads of you get to see all the people that are on your flight just hovering. And I think you were sat down somewhere and I'd gone to the toilet, and then I come back and then I see all these people lining up at our terminal, and they're for our flight. So I'm just like, I'm going to have a look and see what's happening. And I'm just like, I have to get to Bali, and I'm going to lose my connection because this says late. So what is the time? And I think I had already found out the time by that point, and it was, what time was it? It was late at night, wasn't it? 10 at night?
I don't know, in total we were there for 16 hours. So if I can be bothered
hours.
to work out the maths,
Yeah.
we could do it, but I can't be bothered, so I'm not.
So it was around late night our plane was due to leave, which means we would miss our connection. I say
By a lot. We would miss our connection by a
Yeah.
lot. We were supposed to only have, I think, a 2-hour wait in Singapore,
yeah.
and yeah, we missed it
So
by miles.
So I speak to the gentleman. He gives me a food voucher. I go on my way. I tell you to go and get a food voucher as well. And then I just remember being miserable in Athens airport, eating this food.
To be
almost
fair, the
falling
food
asleep.
was you had two different types of pizza
Just
thing.
normal-
One's was
normal
like
slice,
a
and
stuffed
then
thing.
One was like it had been closed in on itself,
yeah.
but it wasn't a calzone. It was like
No, calzone's slightly different.
yeah. So
And I had a big slice of margarita and spaghetti Napolitan. I'm not sure if I've said that right, but
so that was our we're gonna have this and then go and get on the flight meal, wasn't it? And we can just see these people, because after the fact you can see, oh, these are the people that are on our flight, but beforehand you're just like, oh, these people look as miserable as I do.
and that everyone had the biggest bags under their eyes.
I don't think anyone enjoys being in the airport for fun. You're there for a purpose, aren't you?
Sorry, I thought I'd just been bitten, and I was sort of.
There was me being professional, throwing it over to you, and you're just like, what's this, a mole or a freckle? So,
Craig had such an awful time flying, what with lack of sleep, being really, really uncomfortable, and obviously the air conditioning on the flights don't help at all. He's developed some sort of cough.
Yep.
But not only that, he's also got some weird sty thing forming on his eye. Yeah, no one's going to see that.
No one wants to see
No
eye
one
stuff.
wants to see that.
So, yeah, I just had lack of sleep across the whole trip.
So if you hear a cough here and there, it's because, well, Craig has to cough. Obviously.
We get on Athens.
Wait, you haven't even spoken about the woman who you tried to lay down on the seats to have a little nap, because I'd had a nap. Then we had some food, and then you tried to have a little nap. And the woman basically approached him and said, I think you had an eye mask on, your earplugs in, you were laying there, and she came up and she was like, sir, and
Bug on the screen.
bug on the screen. And you were gone, and you could barely hear anyway. And I was kind of a couple of chairs down, and I said, I was speaking to the woman, and she was just saying, he can't sleep here. She was like, there's a hotel. And I was like, there's no point in staying at a hotel when we need to be back in a couple of hours.
And we've already been here
I say a couple
for
of hours,
like 12 hours at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was getting a little bit...
I think I was a bit dazed at that point,
Yeah.
but I remember her saying stuff like, it looks untidy. You can't sleep here. There's chairs for the other guests as well.
Bearing in mind, there were plenty of free chairs. Like, it wasn't like those two to three chairs you were laying on were like the only ones left. There was plenty of chairs, which we soon found out later when we were walking to the gate, and we were like, no,
so many chairs I could have laid down on.
So yeah, that was kind of annoying. I get it, and you would have given up your seat if someone had asked you to.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the problem.
Nope.
But yeah. Anywho,
we get on the plane to Athens. Everyone looks exhausted. Everyone looks so exhausted.
and it's pretty cramped, but it was only like a 3 hour,
cramped.
3 to 3.5 hour flight, so it wasn't like.
Was that not a long one?
Oh no, Athens to
See?
Singapore.
See,
oh
look
my
at that.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like,
It was 10 hours.
10
Oh.
hours. So 10-hour flights are miserable. Wouldn't recommend them. The airline we picked, no complimentary food, which made me laugh. So we spent 10 hours on one bottle of water.
To be fair,
Yeah.
I slept for the first couple of hours, and I remember waking up and thinking, oh my gosh, it's only been 2 hours.
I was the same as well. I think I slept for 2 hours, and then I woke up and I just couldn't get back to sleep.
Yeah.
Where I had been upright for so long at that point, I hadn't laid
yeah.
down. My base of my spine hurt.
And your neck.
And my neck hurt because I hadn't laid down in so long.
Yeah.
Because it was over 24 hours at that point. So I just couldn't sleep any longer, sadly.
Yeah. Although, at one point, I think you fell asleep with your head in my lap.
Yeah, like
whilst
a kitten.
Whilst you were watching Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Great film. Watch it. Yeah, because at that, like, I couldn't. My brain wouldn't switch off. It was this weird thing where I was just thinking and thinking because I had nothing. Like when I put on my earplugs, I could hear nothing. So I thought I'll put something on and just fall asleep to it because then my brain will just tick over.
Yeah.
I think I slept on your lap for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
I could feel you not snoring, but like you were clearly like making some sort of noise because I could feel it in your chest, like in your back, like when you were moving, and I just found that really funny.
It's like a little kitten.
Yeah. That 10-hour flight was really bad. I got up at one point after I think I'd had my 2-hour nap, and then I was reading for a little bit, and then I was like. My legs at this point we'd had our compression socks on as well, so to help the circulation, but I had to get up and I had to I walked down the plane and I was like stretching and bending my legs and like moving and just wiggling and everything because I just felt so uncomfortable, and I know we do these things and I know they're only limited and temporary and they get you to a good point,
but it's miserable.
But it is miserable.
That's not the end.
No, that's not the end. That's not the end. We're only in the air. We haven't even landed in Singapore yet at this point.
So 10 hours, 2 hours go by, and then I think I watched some wrestling or something like that. I filled up my iPod with my iPad.
iPod! Blast from the past.
My mum's still got an iPod, I'll have you know.
No.
Yeah, it's in a bottom drawer, sealed. Well, not sealed, but with box, still working, all that rubbish.
Oh.
Battery's probably going to explode one day. You never know. So I filled up my iPad with loads of films and just stuff I enjoy. And then, so I watch a fair few as I'm like, literally just like nodding, and then I just keep waking, like, and it's just one of those responses. You don't want to just jolt back up, but you do, because your brain is like, you idiot, what are you doing?
You idiot.
By this point, I think only 2 hours had gone fast, so we were 6 hours deep, and then I think you tried going back to sleep again.
Yeah, I think I was pretty successful on that one.
Good.
And even if I wasn't sleeping, I was just laying there with my eye mask on and my earplugs in because, like, it was so great.
I will limit my bad toilet story because this is a minor toilet story.
No, what, on the plane?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that before we got on to check in, some guy was trying to push in front of us to do the check-in bit. Do you remember him?
Oh.
He looked a bit like a thumb. So this guy, First thing.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to talk about this?
This guy, you're hyping it up now, and it's not even that bad.
No,
this
it is
guy,
bad. It's not nice.
This guy goes to the toilet, and then I'm like, whatever he's done in there is not going to be good. But then I go in there, and there's no like bad smell. Well, it would just smell of BO, and I'm just like, we're all a bit fried at this point, but
All a bit.
the whole cubicle was just like. I came out and I felt like stars in their eyes when it's like da 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 da, like fresh air. Whew. So that was an unpleasant experience in the air, and then the aircon in 10 hours. My throat was like. So, is there anything else on the 10-hour journey that you wish to discuss? But it was mostly everyone looking miserable and a baby crying at some point.
That was only at the start. That was good. We didn't really have many kids.
At the beginning of the flight, everyone was talking and it was so loud, and I thought, how am I going to fall asleep? Because my goal was just get on there.
Go to sleep.
And I did it. And then when I woke up, everyone else was still asleep.
Yeah. On that flight, no.
Okay.
But we landed. We landed
did?
in Singapore at... I don't know.
Was it like 9 a.m. Singapore time? No, it was midday. I remember it being midday because we got up and then I was like, oh, they got a Burger King here. It's weird. Burger King isn't usually open for breakfast. It wasn't breakfast. It was in the middle of the day.
Oh, okay.
So that's
I'm
how
glad
I
you
remember. Somehow. And then we thought, oh, the airline, they're taking care of our bags. We don't need to get them, so we'll just go.
Well, they gave us a $30 card that we can use for food. And I think our flight wasn't for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we had a little wander. And because we're vegetarian, it is harder to find foods, full stop. Although in most places it is much better. However, Singapore airport, not so much. Yeah, I think we tried Burger King to start off with, and they didn't have the plant-based Whopper, which is banging.
They did.
They didn't have the plant-based Whopper.
It was on the menu.
No.
We said, do you take these vouchers? And then they went, no. So we were just like, well, we got these vouchers.
Yes. No, I remember.
But then we were so miserable and so fit. We hadn't eaten in 10 hours.
Yeah, we were so hungry.
So we got this egg and cheese sandwich from the 7-Eleven. It was right. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. To be fair, it was nice.
Well,
it was nice.
After like 10 plus hours of no food, anything's going to be nice, isn't it?
And we asked a couple more places. At this point, we were like, let's just get some drinks.
We had wandered, and nowhere was accepting our voucher that they gave us.
So in the end, one place did. We got two bottles of water, 1 can of Sprite, 1 can of Coke, right? And then
they gave us funny looks about the voucher.
Yeah, they were a bit weird about it, but you know what? I don't care. And that was all fine. However, when we got to the gate, they wouldn't let us bring water through. So we had 2 unopened bottles of water that we just had to throw, which was so bad. So wasteful.
There was like a bin, and it had like 7 bottles of water and cans next to it. So
it doesn't make sense because everywhere else is usually fine.
Yeah,
as long as you buy it at the airport once you've been through security and everything.
You go past that point, and they allow you.
But
which is another reason why carry-on luggage is a scam for 7 kilograms, because you
buy more at duty free. Not that we do, because it's still expensive. But I think I guess by the time we got into Singapore, we were knackered. But there were a few highlights, like they have a butterfly garden.
Videos on TikTok and Instagram if you want to have a look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. I don't think it was until we stood outside. Well, it's kind of like inside-outside caged thing, so obviously it keeps it...
If you're just listening to the audio version, you're missing out on Amy's epic dance moves that she's doing right now.
I'm just trying to explain with my hands. And yeah, so we stepped outside into the butterfly garden, and it was so hot, and we were like, oh my goodness, what have we got ourselves into?
Just jet-lagged, tired, wearing these compression socks.
Having worn the same clothes for the last 2 days. That was the third day at that point.
But it's okay. By the evening time, we'll be able to get to our resort and empty, our bags, get changed,
have a shower, all this stuff. So, we get on the plane at Singapore. We haven't had to get our luggage. We haven't needed to check it in. It was all done for us. Everything great. We didn't need to lug it around anywhere. So, the flight from Singapore to Bali was 2 hours.
It was the best flight of the whole trip.
Yeah, they upgraded us to Singapore Airlines.
Are you sure? Like, it wasn't just a...
No, because we were flying with Scoot.
Oh, okay. So...
And I think they upgraded us because it was of the delay.
Yeah.
So we had screens on in front of us. We had like charging ports. It was a lot more spacious, more roomy, and we didn't have a single person booked next to us, so we could spread out.
And it was nicer staff.
Yeah, the staff were nice, and we got food.
Can you believe it? For a 2 hour... Well,
what did we have?
I had a biryani.
Oh, yeah, and I had the vegetable pasta. Your biryani was strong. I sniffed it, and I was like, nope, not having a bite of that.
But I just don't understand how on a 10-hour flight, they'd be like, did you buy food? No, go away. 2-hour flight, here you go.
So, we pull up. We land.
We pull up at the airport, like, hey.
We land at Bali. And by this point, it's 9 o'clock?
Yeah, about right. Yeah, 9. However.
And I was like, oh, okay. Turn my data on, have a quick check, see where our luggage is. We've got air tags, so we can, track it. And I open the app, and there is our luggage still at Singapore airport.
1,000 miles away.
So, by this point, I think we were so annoyed because of the journey that we had and the delays, and obviously being tired makes you more annoyed or more easily annoyed.
When I'm really tired, I just don't know how to react or process anything. So I was there just like, of course, this is what's happening now.
Well,
we haven't got no luggage.
I really did want to give them the benefit of the doubt. The air tags could have stopped working. They
only work when they're next to an iPhone.
Yeah, so it could have been that they weren't next to an iPhone, but then you'd have thought that from our iPhone on the plane, it would have picked it up in the hold.
No.
But no. So we did wait for a few minutes for all the luggage, and I could see a couple of others that had got on at Athens and flew to Singapore with us, and then landed in Bali. So
you have there was false hope because you see like a sort of bag, a trekking bag.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, is that us? No. So you queued up, didn't you, at the baggage services?
Lost and found baggage, yeah.
And there was 2 people serving a whole crowd of annoyed and tired people. And we filled out our details. We described what the bags looked like.
Hot tip number one. Tip number 1.
Yes.
Take a photo of your suitcases and backpacks that you put, because that is the best thing
They were
to
asking us what brand of bag we had, and luckily I remembered mine because I remember looking at pulling the strap tight and it saying regatta on the strap, and I was like, oh yeah, so that was fine. But you had no idea what brand your bag was. All we knew is that it was green.
And when the bag, spoiler, when it did arrive, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the brand. I would never have guessed that in a million years.
No.
Never.
So we filled out all this paperwork, and our driver, bless him, was kindly waiting for us outside the airport.
Over an hour.
Yeah, he was there for over an hour, and then the queue, obviously, people were like, oh, our bags really aren't turning up. So, the queue was kind of getting bigger and bigger. And funnily enough, it was mainly like younger couples that are clearly going away for...
You're saying they're ageist?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
We're just saying that Scoot's probably a terrible airline anyway, so what are you frowning? Can't wait to fly with you again.
Probably.
Probably will have to.
And we find our driver. We drove the 2 hours to our room, our Airbnb.
This room we're in right now. And we come to the realisation we've got no clothes to change into. We're still wearing the ones we've worn for the last 3 days.
So we have a shower using the hand soap in a little dispenser thing. And then we get into bed.
Still sticky.
Wearing nothing. Because we
That's a picture.
We weren't going to wear the clothes that we'd wear. I was wearing a jogging bottom. I was wearing jogging bottoms, a white t-shirt,
And you had
socks, and I had my matching jumper and walking boots, which gave me a blimmin' blister. Anywho, we woke up the next day having slept almost 17 hours, give or take a couple here and there for waking up in the middle of it, like in the middle of our sleeps and stuff.
But I was still like today, which is
today I think it's the
this
first
is number
day.
3. Like this is the first.
We landed Wednesday night, so
Wednesday
this
night,
is the third day.
Thursday night was like just feeling awful.
Yeah, that's the night we had the Mexican takeaway.
Friday, I can't remember what we even did yesterday.
We had pizza.
Do you just remember your days by food?
We went to the supermarket yesterday.
That's
anyway,
right.
we have really derailed.
That's fine.
And so
We go to sleep.
yeah, we wake up
Hopeful.
17-ish hours later to 3 emails from Singapore Air saying
And they are just automated emails. Saying,
like we're still trying to locate your luggage. So I click on find my phone and look at where my air tags are, and the bags are at the airport, at Bali airport. So at least they've made it here. But they still couldn't find them, apparently.
And let's keep in mind, we were just told they'll let us know when they find them. We weren't told whether we had to get them, whether they'd be delivered to us. We were just told, you'll know if we find them.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for these air tags for actually keeping us updated properly.
Yeah.
When compared to this rubbish website.
Yeah. And then Thursday night...
So I was knackered. I was trying to get some sleep.
Yeah, I was wide awake. There was no way I was going to get to sleep anytime soon. And I was just checking on the air tags. And I'd seen that it moved. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. And so I kind of followed it all the way
There was a point you had to make a decision, wasn't there?
I was like, am I going to go to sleep and potentially miss getting our bags or stay up? But I wasn't tired, so I made the choice to stay up. So I watched it all the way from the airport to us here. It arrived at 1 a.m. and
you nudged me Craig, the bags are here.
yeah, the guy texted me saying, "Hi, it's blah 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 from baggage services. I have your bags." And I was like, "It's 1 a.m. Like I literally we both could have been asleep, and there's no hotel reception here." So and he also couldn't find us. He was kind of on the main road off the little road that we were on. And so I think, yeah, thank goodness that I was awake and watching. So we got our bags at 1 a.m. We came back, we had a shower again straight away. I put my pajamas on, and then we could really start to relax and unwind and get on with it.
I will say, however, that because we had to get the bags in the middle of the night, it still wasn't the best night's sleep. It still wasn't pristine.
I think we woke up about 11 the next morning.
Yeah.
But then this morning, we woke up at 9-ish. So our sleeping patterns kind of...
We're getting back on track.
Back on track.
I fell asleep around midnight and woke up at 7. I still feel a bit tired, but I think that's usual for me anyway.
Yeah.
Wake up around 7. So we get our bags, and it's just relief, isn't it? We finally just done it. It's all here. It's such a strange feeling knowing that your bags are 1,000 miles away from you, and you can see them, but you're just so helpless. You can't do anything.
At one point, when we got that email saying we cannot locate your bags, I would have happily have driven 2 hours down there and been like, here is my bag. If you let me in, I can show you where my bag is.
Well, just think when we did get to that airport and we were trying to get our bags, which weren't going to show up, there was just rows and rows of baggage that was just on the floor.
Yeah, it was like
unattended, just all sitting there.
It hadn't been collected, did it?
Yeah. So it was. I don't think they've got a very good system going on, to say the least.
No.
So that's
basically our journey.
That's if it's exhausting to listen to, it was exhausting to experience.
It was way more it was way more exhausting experiencing it. But you know what? Like, I think we've done the whole, like, the full I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but like we've gotten to Bali. Now the next trips will be easier because we're only flying a maximum of 2 hours here and there. So, you know,
we've gotten the whole
we got the hard we got the hard bit out of the way.
But there is like a few things. Like I thought I had all my essentials in my carry-on, so like my laptop, my iPad, and a few other bits that I don't want to lose, like my medicine. There are bits that you just need to take with you in your backpack, like spare underwear, spare socks. These are things we forgot about, and you just need them.
And if you are wearing thicker clothing to fly, pack something lighter in your bag as well, because I made that mistake, and
you paid for it.
And it's hot here as it is. So
I braved it. I wore shorts and t-shirt. In England, whilst it was freezing cold, knowing that when I get off, it will be.
Yeah. But I dressed warm because the air conditioning on the planes are usually, like, I usually sit there shivering, but actually it wasn't even that cold, was it? On the plane, it was quite warm.
No. There's so many bodies. I think was the problem, just sleeping and snoring and all that sort of stuff.
But hey,
is there any advice you would give to yourself? You know, before you get on that plane, now given hindsight, apart from the underwear.
Yeah,
and the
apart from that,
we brought a toothbrush, didn't we? We took that out of our bag.
Yes,
when we landed.
toothbrush, toothpaste,
lighter shoes. I took my walking shoes and wore them so that my main bag would weigh less. But I think heavier shoes in the bag.
I think wear exactly what you feel comfortable in. Yeah. If that is Crocs, wear the darn Crocs.
Well, I never wear Crocs.
No, I love my Crocs. Shut up. But I wore we both wore walking boots, and they are good for what they're good for, but not for a flight. The minute that we took off, we were like, shoes off.
Yeah, and they tell you not to do that, just in case. But
but
hey, if I'm swimming, I'm going to be swimming without my shoes.
Also, compression socks. I think the first flight we didn't have them on, and it was only 3 hours or whatever, but like my legs, I don't know, like I get twitchy leg syndrome at night sometimes, and I was just having that on the plane. But then when I put the compression socks on for the long flight,
everything's shaking.
Oh, when I put the compression socks on for the long flight, I felt so much better, and I get quite swollen feet on planes anyway. So take compression socks.
Oh, what we didn't say is the compensation from the airline for losing our bags was they gave us £40 per bag. So if you lose your baggage, obviously you can claim for further compensation, which I think you might look into.
Yeah.
But £40 is as useful as a useless meal voucher, really, isn't it? So.
Another thing, an empty water bottle, because you won't be able to go through security with water.
I got a refillable, reusable.
It collapses as well.
It collapses, yeah. So this is called a Hydra Pack stash. It fits 1 litre of fluid, and once you've drunk everything, you can compress it down so that it's lighter to carry as well. This, for just something I thought, like, hey, that'll be handy. This is so good. I would recommend if you're travelling.
Whatever water vessel you would like, take it with you. Obviously, you can take the water in to drink before you go through security, but you can't take it through security. And then if you have to throw water away going, like, to get on a flight, like through the gates and whatnot, then, you know, what have you. As long as you've got that, you can always fill it up in the gate.
Make sure you've got a good vessel.
A good vessel.
Would you like to wrap up? Is there anything else you need to say?
No, I don't think
No?
so.
We knew it was going to be a long journey, but when the middle flight got delayed, I don't think I was able to cope with that longer journey.
I'm surprised we didn't like argue. Really, I think we snapped at each other maybe like once, but
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah, because we knew there was. It's just that's the way I was looking at it, and that's I think people don't look at it like that at airports. It's like you're helpless. You can't do anything. Everyone's in the
Yeah.
same boat. And rushing isn't going to help anything. You just need to sit through it and stay the course. You'll get there eventually,
yeah,
no matter what. And it's just a big question mark, really.
yeah, definitely.
But we made it. We are now in Bali. We're at our resort. We've
We'll
had
see-
one good night's
Yeah,
sleep.
you'll see more.
Yes.
You'll see more over the next few eps anyway.
Check our socials. Subscribe to our podcast on all those podcast platforms.
Sunsoaked
Yeah, that's our website. And I think just thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or any suggestions on where to go whilst we're here in Bali, like send them through.
Yeah. We're here 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, so we've still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
And we might even do a bonus episode just because we miss one.
Yeah. Well, we've got lots of ideas for this.
Yeah.
So please let us know what you think.
Yes.
And what do they say? Rate stuff. Rate on those things. Rate on the platforms on
Rate,
iTunes.
yeah.
Yeah. Just agree with me. Yeah.
Subscribe and rate.
Yes, we made it somehow. Until next time.
Until next time.
Handshake. Well, last episode, we said we would talk about where we're going, but we got caught up in the preparation and just so busy that... Oh, we're going out of focus. Jesus Christ.
And we're back.
We're just... One last test. Hello, here we are. Once
Hello.
again.
Here we are.
How
once
we-
again.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. In Bali?
In Bali.
In Bali.
Bali.